What if I told you that some of the creatures you thought were mere legends actually roamed the earth? Yes, those fantastical beings from ancient myths and bedtime stories, half beast, half imagination, may not be as fictional as you think. Today, we're diving into the world of the strange, the mysterious, and the unbelievable to uncover 10 mythical creatures that actually existed. Stay tuned, because what you're about to discover will blur the lines between myth and reality. Let's start with the Kraken, an enormous tentacled sea monster said to be capable of dragging entire ships beneath the waves. Tales of the Kraken originated from the Norse sailors, who described it as a creature so massive it could be mistaken for an island. But here's the twist. The Kraken wasn't just a figment of overactive imaginations. It turns out that this legendary beast was likely inspired by the giant squid, a real-life deep-sea dweller that can grow up to 43 feet long. With eyes as big as dinner plates and a beak that could crush steel, the giant squid embodies the terror and mystery that fed Kraken myths for centuries. And if you thought the Kraken was the only mythical monster with a real-world counterpart, you're in for a surprise. Next up, the Griffin, a majestic creature with the body of a lion and the head and wings of an eagle. In ancient lore, griffins were known as protectors of treasure and were believed to inhabit remote mountain ranges. But what inspired such a bizarre and powerful creature? Archaeologists believe that the legend of the Griffin was born from early encounters with the fossilized remains of Protoceratops, a dinosaur with a beak and a crest that, when partially uncovered by sand, could resemble a bird-lion hybrid. Imagine stumbling upon these bones in ancient times and trying to explain them without modern science. The result? The myth of the Griffin. But it's not just land where mythical creatures were thought to dwell. Some of them soared high above the earth, and others swam in its depths. The Basilisk is another creature shrouded in myth, a serpent said to be so deadly that even looking into its eyes could kill. Its breath was supposedly lethal, and it could turn any living thing to stone. While this might sound like pure fantasy, the Basilisk may have roots in sightings of the king cobra, one of the deadliest snakes in the world. The king cobra's venom is potent enough to kill an elephant, and its gaze, when flaring its hood, could certainly seem menacing enough to fuel tales of a creature with deadly eyes. Add in a mix of medieval superstition, and you have the perfect recipe for the Basilisk legend. But not all mythical creatures were as terrifying. Some were downright peculiar, like the next creature on our list. The Cyclops, a one-eyed giant from Greek mythology, was said to be a fearsome creature both in size and strength. But where did this idea come from? Historians suggest that the myth of the Cyclops might have originated from ancient people discovering the skulls of prehistoric elephants, particularly the dwarf elephants that roamed the Mediterranean islands. These skulls have a large central nasal cavity, which could easily be mistaken for a single eye socket by someone unfamiliar with the anatomy of elephants. The myth of the Cyclops might be the result of our ancestors' attempts to make sense of these unusual fossils. Our next creature, however, was very much alive and is still the subject of fascination today. The unicorn, a graceful horse-like creature with a single horn on its forehead, has become a symbol of purity and magic. But did such a creature ever exist? Sort of. The unicorn myth may have been inspired by the Indian rhinoceros, which has a single horn and was once widespread across parts of Asia. Ancient travelers who encountered the rhino may have embellished its characteristics, leading to tales of a more majestic and mysterious creature. Another theory links the unicorn to the now extinct Elasmotherium, a giant one-horned mammal that roamed the steppes of Eurasia. Either way, it seems the idea of a single-horned beast was less fantasy and more a case of mistaken identity. From the magical to the monstrous, our next creature walks the line between myth and reality. The roc, a gigantic bird from Middle Eastern folklore, was said to be so large it could carry off elephants in its talons. While that might sound like an exaggeration, there's a real-world bird that might have inspired these tales, the Epiornis, also known as the elephant bird. Native to Madagascar, this massive, flightless bird stood nearly 10 feet tall and weighed over half a ton. While it couldn't fly, the sheer size and strength of the Epiornis could easily have been exaggerated into the myth of the roc, especially in the retelling of stories by travelers who encountered its remains. But let's move from the skies to the swamps for our next creature, a being that's as much a part of modern lore as it is ancient. The Chupacabra, a creature of more recent myth, is said to be a blood-sucking beast that preys on livestock in the dead of night. First reported in Puerto Rico in the 1990s, the Chupacabra has since become a legend across the Americas. But what could have sparked such a terrifying tale? Some believe the Chupacabra sightings are actually encounters with coyotes suffering from severe mange, a disease that causes hair loss and skin lesions, giving them a monstrous appearance. While the Chupacabra may not be a creature of the supernatural, its roots in real, albeit sickly, animals show how myth can grow from strange but natural phenomena. Now, let's head back to ancient Greece, where the next creature has ties to both legend and history. The Minotaur, a fearsome creature with the body of a man and the head of a bull, was said to dwell in the labyrinth of Crete. According to legend, it was the offspring of a queen and a divine bull, a punishment from the gods. While the Minotaur's story is deeply rooted in Greek mythology, it may have been inspired by the ancient Minoan civilization's reverence for bulls. The Minoans practiced bull leaping, a ritual where participants would leap over bulls, a dangerous and awe-inspiring feat. The combination of this ritual and the remains of labyrinthine structures on Crete likely fueled the creation of the Minotaur myth. But the Minotaur isn't the only hybrid creature with roots in reality. Our next creature combines the traits of different animals into one legendary being. The Manticore is a legendary beast from Persian mythology, described as having the body of a lion, the face of a man, and a tail lined with venomous spines. It was said to be nearly invincible, with a taste for human flesh, but could such a creature have really existed? While there's no direct evidence, some scholars believe that the Manticore myth may have been influenced by early accounts of tigers or other big cats. The exaggerated tales from travelers about fearsome predators could have evolved into the myth of the Manticore, blending human fears with real-world animal characteristics. Finally, let's explore a creature that's as elusive as it is famous, a being that continues to capture our imaginations to this day. The Yeti, also known as the abominable snowman, is said to be a large, ape-like creature that inhabits the remote mountains of the Himalayas. For centuries, locals have told stories of a giant, hairy beast that stalks the snowy peaks. But could the Yeti be more than just a legend? Some scientists believe the Yeti myth may have originated from sightings of the Himalayan brown bear, or the Tibetan blue bear, both of which are large, elusive, and capable of walking on two legs. In the harsh and isolated environment of the Himalayas, it's easy to see how a rare encounter with these bears could be magnified into the legend of the Yeti.